My name is Jen Cushman. Heather's on too. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is awesome. Okay, so Heather, I don't know if you missed my talk, but I'm going to be doing a brainy one today, okay? Plus a spiritual one, esoteric one that you're going to know, okay? Okay, you guys, my name is Jen Cushman. I am an empathic intuitive. I am an energy Reiki master teacher. I am a student of Huna, and I am also a master practitioner of mental emotional release, neuro-linguistic programming, and hypnotherapy. So that is who I am and why I'm here. I know, Heather, you love brainy and esoteric. This is right up your alley. Okay, you guys, I'm going to hit this really fast and really high, and we may circle back to this again at another Magic Mondays. What I want to do is I want to just talk and start out a little bit about basic, and I mean basic, applied mathematics, okay? And one of the things that I want to talk to you about is the sine wave, S-I-N-E, or the sinusoidal wave, okay? And it has been measured in mathematics that that energy is measured in a sine wave, right? That is the wave that goes like this. It is basically the sideways S, okay? So the sine wave or the sinusoidal wave, okay? And I have my notes. So if you see me looking over, I just want to make sure that I have this right on for you guys. Now, the sinusoidal wave is the most natural representation of how many things in nature work, okay? That is just the wave of energy. It is the way things are always moving. Energy cannot be destroyed, right? You know that quote, energy is always being created, transformed, and then completing, and then starting again in this S wave. So that is called a sine wave, okay? And something that's really interesting to know about the sine wave, and I know you guys have all heard this, particularly those of you that love things like sound healing and music and voice and all of those other things, you know this intuitively and instinctively, okay? So the number of times that a sine wave is measured, or it goes through a complete cycle in 1 second, is the way it is measured. So a wave is measured by how many times it goes through the wave in 1 second cycle, okay? And when you have a completed sine wave, it's actually called a frequency, okay? So that's what you got, a frequency. Now, the unit that mathematics uses to measure this frequency is actually called hertz, okay? So if you were into any kind of healing or sound healing or anything, you're going to know, and I've talked about this before, that sound resonates at different megahertz, right? Different hertz. So there is, when you'll go to a sound bath or anything, and people will be doing the sound bowls. Each bowl will resonate at a different hertz or a different frequency. And again, the frequency is how long it takes for the wave to go through its cycle, okay? Now, colors, for all of my artist friends out there, colors have frequencies, right? So each color has a different frequency. And there's a different frequency for orange, red, yellow. Each of our chakras have different frequencies. So all of these things are happening in nature all the time. It is the way our world works. And when I say to you guys, everything is energy, I mean it, right? It has been scientifically proven for decades now that everything is energy, that at its core, we are energy, okay? And the way we know we are energy is because of the sine wave, the sinusoidal wave, okay? Bear with me, you got that? Okay, so now that you understand that there is the sine wave and what its purpose is, again, really, really short, really, really, really quick here, okay? But now that you understand what that is, I really want to introduce you to a universal law. Now, this is a spiritual universal law, and this is a physical law. It governs us, right? So it is as above, so below, as within, so without. One of my favorite sayings in life goes all the way back to Hermes Trismegistus. We're talking way back, way, way, way back, right? As above, so below. So basically what it's saying is that there are spiritual frequencies, right? And then there are physical frequencies. And there are universal laws that govern how our world works, right? How we have, and our physical world, and also the rules of the spiritual world and the other planes of existence. You guys know that I have talked about, transitions, what happens, a little bit about when we transition. You know that I hear from, from loved ones and other ones that during readings that when other people have transitioned, that their soul, our souls have a frequency. We all have our own home frequency. It means we all have a megahertz, a wave, a frequency, a vibration that is our unique energetic match, exactly like it is our unique thumbprint, right? And when our souls cross onto the other side, we still maintain our frequency. So when I'm in a reading and I'm doing something and a cross loved one comes in and wants to give a message for the person that I'm reading, it's their frequency that I actually touch in on. And once I can get their frequency, then I can have a vision of who they are, how they passed, and then I can hear the message of what they have. But it's not the person that I need you all to understand. It is the frequency of the soul. So it's really, really important you understand this frequency, okay? So the law of cycles and rhythms is the one I want to start with. I kind of want to talk about some of these universal laws. The law of cycles of rhythm is a really interesting and easy one for us to grasp as human beings because it is supernatural to us. Even not knowing anything about it or having it explained to us, we understand what is happening when we look out in nature, right? We understand that nature has laws of cycles and rhythms because we go through seasons. Seasons are part of the law of cycles and rhythms. It's part of the natural frequency, the natural energy and cycle of life, right? Oh my gosh, I'm hearing Lion King. They're singing to me. Ay, caramba. I love my guides, you guys. They're so silly. I'm so excited today. So they're actually being extra silly with me and playful with me. So the cycle of life, right? The circle of life, those kind of things. So I'm just going to read you really quick the law of cycles and rhythms, okay? It is everything that exists is subject to the rise and the fall, the advance and the retreat, the expanding and the contracting. So every single thing that exists in our world is subject to, which means we are influenced by the rise and the fall of the wave, right? The advancement, the retreation, the expansion and the contraction. That is always, always, always happening. Always. Every moment, every second of every day. And as human beings, we don't even think about it or consider this because we're just going on daily life, right? We have habits, we have schedules, we have patterning, we have programming, and we're just being us. And we don't even realize it other than the fact that we know that our own personal body energy, our own frequency rises and falls throughout the day. How many of you guys on here need that 3 o'clock coffee hit or a little bite of sugar or, you know what I mean? Like that thing, because you start getting that low dip in energy, right? In that midday, right? That is the law of cycles and rhythms at work in your own body and evidence of what's happening. Okay. And I'm going to come back to that analogy in just a minute, but I want to keep on with my teaching. Okay. So if everything, all beings, all everything is subject to the rise and fall, the advance, the retreat, the expanding and the contracting, everything that exists is subject, influenced by the flux of the sine wave, right? So everything is by the sine wave. The sine wave is absolutely important because it literally explains the energy of life, right? And when the sine wave is at the top, it's one thing. And when it's at the bottom, it's another thing. So you can also think about the law of duality, right? So the law of contrast. So dark, night, right? Dark, light, night, day. All of these polar opposites of each other are all parts of the energy wave, and they are absolutely necessary. And we are being influenced all the time. Think about it. Each day we go through a 24-hour cycle, right? We go through a sleeping cycle and a day cycle, right? We go through night and day. Those are all parts of the sine wave, and They are all things that we are constantly being subject to because they are a universal law. Okay. So are you hanging in there with me? Are you understanding where I'm going with this? Okay. So therefore, I even wrote it on the thing. Therefore, right? Therefore, anything that has been divided for the sake of creation will act and react to each other with opposite polarity, day, night, light, dark, all those kind of things. So it is part of the law of creation. It is part of the law of cycles and rhythms that things are going to move, that the energy is going to move, and that each part of the wave is going to react to each other. They create polarity. They create, positive, negative, all those other things, duality. That's what that is. So, and the other thing I just want you to know is that these opposites are always kind of seeking wholeness. That's why the wave goes like this, and then it comes back together because it's looking for the middle line, because the middle line is where it is wholeness. So we are always seeking wholeness, okay? Just spiritually, physically, intuitively, mentally, emotionally, all of our bodies, we are constantly seeking wholeness, and we are seeking alignment. That's why the health and wellness industry is such a big and growing industry. That's why we know in our world today that we are sick, and there's a lot of sickness going on. There's spiritual sickness, there's physical sickness, there's mental sickness, there's emotional sickness. And it's because those waves, those energy waves, by the law of cycles and rhythm, we are always seeking to come together, and we are always seeking wholeness. Okay. Now, here's the other thing that I want to tell you, and then I'm going to move on because I know this is a little brainy, but what I want you to know, this is the other thing that's really, really important. And this is the scientific way of what I say all the time. And what I have in my card deck and what you hear all the time is your vibe attracts the tribe. Remember, I'm always telling you about what you put out is what you get back. What you put in your filter is what you are going to get back in your filter. So explaining this a little bit deeper and a little bit further, and energy is that the opposites, right? So when the opposites are seeking wholeness, they are looking to come together for a state of union. And when they come together with a state of union, the act of creation happens. And that is when they're transferring their magnetism and their energy to each other, right? So that also explains divine masculine, divine feminine, and the act of creation itself. It is when you are actually, during the act of creation, you are transferring your magnetism and energy to each other. Now to take it one step deeper, because I love to go deep, you guys. One step deeper is by the universal law of cycles and rhythms, by the fact that we are all energy. Here's the thing, the wave, the wave, so if two waves are coming together and they're just vibrating and they're in the frequency together, the wave that is stronger, the wave that has the greater amount of energy is the transmitter, right? It is giving the energy, it is sending the energy. The wave that has the lesser amount of energy is the receiver, and it is gaining and it is getting the energy, okay? So why is this important? Okay, why is all this scientific and esoteric stuff and everything, why is it important and why does it matter? Because when you can understand the universal law of cycles and rhythms, when you can understand that we are all energetic beings and that everything is energy, you can understand how you are reacting in the world. You can understand if you are being a transmitter or a receiver. You can, with mastery of these things, you can actually harness your own energy. You can generate your own energy. You can save your own energy, and then you can actually harness your energy and then mindfully, consciously, intentionally use the stored up energy when you need it. And when you do this, you become a master of your energy. You don't necessarily need to go mindlessly to the 3 o'clock coffee hit, right? You don't need to go mindlessly to the 3 p.m. sugar hit in order to get your physical to bring it back up, because you understand these concepts. And when you are feeling the contraction, you simply can be mindful of it and stop for a minute and be like, it's time to rest, right? My body says I need to rest. or it's time to do a little bit in their energy work. It's time to do some deep breathing. It's time to do a meditation. It's time to bring that energy that I have been so outwardly focused on. It is time to bring that energy back into me so I can get back and I can rebuild my energy, my mana, my life force, my chi. I can get back into there. I can bring the energy back into myself. I can harness the energy for health, wellness, wholeness, right? Centeredness, creativeness, all of those things, I can bring that energy back in and I can harness my energy. So then when I need it, I've stored it and then I can put it outward, you know? Now, you guys, we know this stuff is true because we hear these memes, we hear these lines all the time and we don't even pay attention to them, right? How many of you heard you can't pour from an empty cup? You can't pour from an empty cup. It's one of the things that is said in the consciousness community to help us do self-care, particularly women, right? Particularly the nurturers and the oversharers and the overgivers and the over ones, the ones who are always pushing the energy outward and never quite reserving enough for themselves, right? You can't fill from an empty cup. Or now that you're hanging out on Magic Mondays, you now know that it's just that your sine wave is on a downward spiral. I'm in contraction right now. How the heck can I give right now to the best of my ability if I'm in a state of contraction? If I really want to give to somebody else in a powerful way, a way of showing up for them and for me, I need to be in a state of expansion. I need to be in the sine wave of expansion rather than contraction, right? I need to be in the rising rather than the falling, right? The advancing rather than the retreating. That is the law of cycles and rhythms. And that is the as above, so below. So today's topic that I wanted to do, and I asked my guides, like, can we do this? Can we go into this way? Can I go all brainy and crazy with them? And I was like, yeah, go for it. You know, let's do it. So that's what they said. So like anything else, every single Magic Monday, when I give you an esoteric concept or a spiritual concept, I'm going to bring it down into the physical, into our 3D reality, because I want you to understand what it means, number one. And number two, why is it important? Why does it matter? Why does it matter that energy is everything, right? Why does it matter that there's the energy goes in waves? Why do I need to know applied mathematics, right? I need to know these things because they are actually universal laws and they affect my life and they affect my living and they affect the way that I am able to show up for myself and show up in the world, and how I'm able to use my intention and my mindfulness to live my purpose and to be on my path. Okay? Okay, you guys, that was a lot, right? I can feel it. I'm in a rise of energy right now. I can feel it. One more thing that I do want to tell you about this, you guys. If you are a healer or you want to be a healer, okay? If you are a healer and you want to be a healer, listen up, my friends. Pretty much every single person on here is one of what I'm talking to you about. You know, it's like, Heather, you showed up for a reason. Aloha, right? Jesse, you're here for a reason. You know, all of these things, you guys. Susan, you're here for a reason. Sherry, anybody who's here, you guys, if you are a healer and you want to be a healer, okay, it would really behoove you to understand the laws of energy. And it would be really important for you to understand your own ability to maintain, to create, harness, hold, and give energy. Because, for example, when I do Reiki treatments on my clients, whether it is sent in person, hands-on, or I'm actually sending it through quantum physics, through distance healing, I cannot pour from an empty cup. I cannot give an abundance of energy if I am in a retreat mode, right? I cannot do that. I must be the stronger energy force at that time in order to transmit the energy. So my clients can be in the receptive mode of less energy in order to receive the energy. Because what happens when two people have the same energy, right? They're having the same energy. Think about a fight, think about something. right? You're bumping heads. It's just like taking that battery and turning the polarity, and they're repelling each other. So polarity is incredibly important. And if you are going to be a healer, you must really be able to maintain and harness your own energy so you have it to give to your clients. And then when you're done transmitting and sending energy, then you close up, you close the circle, you close it down, you break the Akut connection, you break the cords, you come back to yourself and you bring back to your own energy. Healers who get sick healing others are not being aware of their own energy. I'm going to say that again. Healers who get sick healing others are not being aware of their own energy. They are not doing the things that they need to do to clean, maintain, and manage their energy. So if any of you out here, any of my team, any of my community, any of my people, I say team, you guys, I said that because I consider you my community and my team. If any of you out there want to be in a helping, healing, loving, caretaking profession, take care of your energy, understand your sine waves, understand your frequency in order to maintain your optimal health, okay? And understand that if you are a healer, you can't do this alone, my friends, because you are going to need support at some point from other healers, other people who have energy. Because even if you are super clean on your energy, even if you do all the things that you need to do, the law of cycles and rhythms states that there will be times that you need to contract. You need to be times where you need to retreat. There's times when you need to rest. And as a healer, as part of an energy exchange and part of your purpose, there are times when you need to be in receivership and not always in the giving mode. Okay. So for example, I was really tired this last week and I really did not push myself. And truthfully, last week I didn't get much done. I got a 90-minute massage from a friend of mine who does those long, beautiful strokes. She got all the knots out of me. It was phenomenal. I read some of my, Huna's going on right now in September. I feel like my tribe and my community's there and I'm not with them, right? So it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Everything is as it should be. And I allowed myself time this week to do my work. I did my readings, I did my studies, I did my things. The law of cycles and rhythms comes straight from Huna. So, and other schools, other things. So I was in this last week, I was in a retraction cycle, right? I was on the other side of the wave. And in the past, when I had all my gunk, when I had my stuff, when I had my patterning, when I had all of my things, I would just push myself to get things done. And now, because I really understand and live the law of cycles and rhythms, I knew it was time for me to basically take a whole week off and just rest and recharge. Okay, you guys, I love it. So thank you for allowing me to explain that today. I really enjoyed the love and learn, and I love what you guys are saying. Deborah says it makes so much sense. Beneficial to know, thorough explanation. Energy is everything. We have to replenish and recharge. Perfect. Good job, Deborah. You put the final, put a fine point on it. Energy is everything, and we have to replenish and recharge. That is what this talk really is about. And all of that explanation is why. I want to give you the why. That's important. When you see these memes and you're like, yeah, I need to rest, I can't fill from an empty cup. I want you as part of my community to understand and know why that is. Okay.